Hello, YouTube. So, you've probably seen my other video, my little short about the ending of this series. This series ate me alive. I posted a little 9.5-minute short review on TikTok because they don't have longer form content, but here's my rant rave review for YouTube. First, the Poppy War. So I started this book not knowing too much about what R.F. Kuang had based it on. I knew that it was based around the Chinese-Japanese wars that occurred, and I read when I was going through the Dragon Republic, I read an interview where R.F. Kuang talked about how she based Rin on Chairman Mao and said to herself, what if I made Chairman Mao a girl, a teenage girl? So she did. In this book, you can see the sort of beginning of Rin's turn into an evil warlord. She goes to Singard. She meets Zhang, Alton, Chagon, Nisha, all of these wonderful people. You know, wonderful being subjective, of course. And she learns while there that she's a Spearly. Yeah, so here we are, and she meets another Spearly, Alton, and, you know, they become, I don't want to say friends, because I don't think they're friends, and honestly, I don't believe that Rin is really friends with anybody. I feel like she really only gives a shit about herself at the end of the day. But what I really think is important and good about this book is that R.F. Kuang did, in the Poppy War, did a great job of building up who Rin was at 16 when she first went to Singard and met all of these people who would become sort of important in her development as a warlord and a soldier. She going through her training and then getting thrust into battle. It must be very intriguing to go from being a 16-year-old from Tikani in the Monkey Province to being somebody who's holding a god inside of you and being a weapon for mass destruction and basically genocide across an entire country. And I think the development of Rin's character in this book was really well done. I think her development throughout the whole series was amazing. But I hate her. I cannot express the amount of loathing that I have for Rin's character. I think that R.F. Kuang, I feel that she did such an amazing job building up not just Rin, but Alton and Kitai and Nisha and Nisha's whole Yin family. She did a great job of giving them these powers and these elements of who they were at their very core and developing them into people who would become either deceased warriors that lived in Rin's mind or characters who helped develop Rin even more into the warmongering destructor that she was. I think the comparison between Chairman Mao and Rin is a very apt comparison. I think we could also compare her to other leaders throughout current times and even recent history. I think of Pol Pot in Cambodia and having all the Khmer Rouge invade and kill people, for example. And it's, the second or the final Chinese-Japanese War didn't occur inside of World War II, but it occurred alongside World War II. So it was not that long ago that the final Chinese-Japanese War was fought. And I think that R.F. Kuang did such a wonderful job of weaving in those historical facts as well with the character development of Rin and all the other characters that make this story and book series what it is. When you get to the Dragon Republic, you think to yourself, okay, they're getting into the thick of battle now. They are fighting. The war has just begun. They start out on the back of this book with, the war is over. The war has just begun. 3 times throughout its history, Nikan has fought for its survival in the Bloody Poppy Wars. And now they're going through all of this again and fighting. In this book, she joins forces with the Dragon Warlord, and she gets herself entangled with the Yin family even more because she's spending all this time alongside Nisha and fighting with him. And, I mean, if you've read the series, you know how Nisha turns out. And I can't stand him either, but his character was so vital to Rin's development because when they were at Seingard, when they were students together, Nisha, and Katai they had this friendship, they had this relationship that developed, and that separated when Nisha developed more outside of Sinigard and Rin developed more outside of Sinigard as well. They developed into more of their own separate people who wanted power, who wanted to destroy other people. It was, we're either going to destroy the Republic, or we're going to destroy the Hesperians, or we're going to destroy, the people who wanted to destroy the Nikani people. Because they looked at the Nikani people as being less than us because they had darker skin. And they were from the South. And, there was that belief that if you're from the South and if you're Nikan and if you're Spearly in the case of Rin, then you're garbage. And you don't know anything. And you are not smart and you can't learn how to build stuff the way the Hesperians can. Because the Hesperians are advanced. And where have we seen this rhetoric before? It's everywhere. And so I feel like I'm rambling, and I'm like, I am. But I hope that you're sticking with me. I like that R.F. Kuang spent so much time developing these books into an absolute bloody mess of a war. It's very well written and well developed, and God, everything is just amazing. She takes Rin from this little country girl in the Poppy War who lived in Takani to this woman who was not going to back down from anything. I appreciate also that there were characters in this series who told Rin, you are not ready for this kind of battle because you don't know war strategy. You don't know how to plan around these different things that we've spent years developing because you are fresh out of school and they didn't teach you that stuff at Sinigard. For example, when she gets to the mountain where um, the mountain where that warrior is staying, and she meets, Sorkhan Sira, and all of that happens, and then goes into the Burning God, where they go to, they hike to that mountain, and they lose soldier after soldier after soldier, and then they meet Suji and the other soldiers that are in that area, and Suji and all of these other people are basically telling her, fuck no, you're not ready for this. But she's not willing to listen because she's Rin, and Rin is always right. I appreciated that there were people who actually told her, hell no, you're 21 at this point. Go learn some more about military strategy. I was really surprised that she didn't think Nesha would take Kitai. I was also not really surprised necessarily, but appalled that Kitai chose to anchor himself to Rin. I just, at the end of the Dragon Republic, when he sees that she is turning into basically a dictator, and he's still standing by her. He is still fighting for her. He is still saying she's the one who's going to win this war, and she was able to channel her dragon after that because of him, and she did nothing to appreciate it. I don't believe that she, as much as she claimed to care about Kitai, I just don't think she did. And I don't think she cared about anybody other than herself and what she wanted, because she wanted to rule everything. And she's constantly telling everybody, fudge off, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, you're going to listen to me, slamming her hands on the table because she's the boss, even though she's barely old enough to, like, if she lived in modern times, she would just be old enough to buy booze on her own, and she's acting like she's the queen bee over here, and for example, when the Sorkin Sira in the Dragon Republic was talking, and he wants to bind himself to her and anchor them, and she's just okay with it because Rin is Rin, and he wants to stand by her. And they're, he says, you don't have to ask. She said, I want you to do it more than anything, but I can't ask you to do this for me. And she doesn't ask, he just does it, and she lets him. She should have said no. She should have said no. She should have told him. Somebody should have stopped them. And Shagan, when they're talking, she's like, I don't want him to do this. And Shagan says, when he's talking about being anchored, he says, we didn't have a choice in this. You know that. I know you're a little bitch, she said. You have no other choice. That's Shagan, and she's like, fudge you, and they had a choice. Shagan may not have. I don't know. I'm trying to recall Shagan's anchorship to his partner, who later gets killed, and I thought that was a little interesting, because I thought that if your anchor got killed, you died as well. But Shagan didn't die right away after his anchor died, because they found him when they went to the Dog Republic to find Ruji. So Anchor happens. They burn a bunch of people. Rin learns to fly with the wings that Katai built for her, because of course Katai is doing everything for her and sacrificing himself for this bee, you know? And I'm gonna say, Katai, where are all my Katai girls and guys and theys and theys and thems? Because this they loved Katai the most out of all these characters. And if you're with me, let's talk. He was my favorite character, and the way Rin destroyed his life was obnoxious. She went from, oh, you can't be my anchor, I don't want you to be my anchor, to being like, I'm gonna destroy the entire motherfucking world, even if Kate dies for it. Girl, come on. And the way she's just constantly acting like Rachel McAdams' character from Mean Girls, except with the power to singe people to death with her hands, you know. She's just unbelievable. So hiking, you know, when she gets to here, she's like hiking her troops up into this mountain where Suji is, and then getting Suji and these other people to come with her, and they hide in the trees and they destroy Hesperian people, and they get to Tikani and they see that people are starving and dying, and that Tikani was taken over by Hesperians. Are they surprised? I think it was good that Rin, I don't know. No, you know what? It wasn't good that she went back to Tikani. I was going to say I think it's good, but I don't. I don't think that she should have gone back to Tikani. I don't know. The people there deserve to be liberated, but I don't feel like that was what Rin was doing. I don't feel like Rin was liberating people in these books. I feel like she just wanted all the power for herself, and that the Muganese people, the Hesperians, the Alton, the other Spearleys, the gods that she killed, were all just demolition, so that Rin could rise to the power that she felt like she deserved, even if she didn't. I think she wanted to be the be-all, end-all power because she had the Phoenix God. And she turned into this hot, destructive mess. And then she brought in people like Pipaji in this book, put gods into them, unwoke the gods at the Pantheon, put them into people who were unprepared for that power, and then murdered them when things didn't go the way Rin wanted. And it just destroys you from the inside, knowing that this mother effer, I'm trying to be good here, y'all, but Rin really makes me mad. Like, I could just call this the 20-minute Rin rant review, because good Lord, I mean, R.F. Kuang, like I said, she wrote a fucking amazing character. And, I hate Rin so much, but I also love that she was so well written that she brought out those emotions in me. I really think that R.F. Kuang did such an amazing job building up this book, building up this whole series, building up these characters, building up the Pantheon and what that means in their world, and why the gods are important and how they can call them down. She did a great job of building up the mythology that these people believe in, why, you know, and making you sort of question, well, why are these people believing in this stuff if it's just harming people, and if all it's doing is causing war and death and destruction for thousands of people because the Hesperians were killing people, the Muganese were killing people, the Nikarans were killing people, and it was all just this never-ending sea of war and battle and destruction over whether Rin was going to be the big winner, whether the colonizers in the Hesperians were going to be the big winners, and it all blew up in Rin's face. She went from a student here to not even a master because she never learned the strategy that real leaders need to have. She never learned, it's a war that they're fighting, and it's a battle, and it's hard, and it is devastating, but she never learned the compassion that you also need to have. In her mind, it was kill everybody, no matter what. No matter what. And she finally gave up. And she gave up. And she made Nisha kill her, which caused... Kitai died because of her. Kitai died because of her. And she's just like, whatever, man. I'm getting killed. And she was so obsessed. She got to the point where, Vinka was a spy, so she killed Vinka. Kitai was a spy, so she killed herself. Nesha was a spy, so she abandoned the Yin family. She wanted everything to be about her and around her, and the way that this story was built up showed her youngness and her naivete and her inability to understand why she wasn't prepared for the powers that she took on, and why people were not going to just bend the knee to her. I think if you read this book and the whole series, you will find that it is a relevant book for its historical matter and for the current things that are happening in certain places in this world. I'm going to say that colonization is never good, that dictators are never good. I believe Rin was at least on the path to being a dictator, and I think that she was on her way to being the next Ruji. And after she woke Ruji up, in spite of Jiang's hesitancy, I think she realized why he shouldn't have been woken up and why she had to kill him, but then Daji and Xiang got killed as well because the three of them were anchored together, and they saw in her, of course, Daji was terrible as well, and I think her introduction to these books was so important because she was Rin in a much older form. She was Rin. She was a character who wanted bloodshed, who wanted to kill people, I think just for the sake of killing them, because it showed that she was powerful, and she told Rin, don't let them speak out. If anybody speaks out against you, you kill them immediately. And I think part of Rin took that to heart, because look at what she, look at what happened to Papaji. Look at what happened to the characters that Rin didn't want challenging her. And look at what happened to Kitai. I think Kitai was my standalone favorite character for this entire series. I I also want to say I tolerated Jiang. The other characters were there. They were great characters in the context of this story. They were horrible people. I mean, anyway, I loved the whole series. I loved the character development. The whole series is like 25 million stars. 5 out of 5. 10 out of 10. I loved the development of the characters. I loved the plot. I loved how much passion there was in the entire series. The passion that went into the weapons that they used, talking about the arquebuses, talking about the transport things that they used, the development of the world, the land, the fighting, the sea, how they fought with water, how they used the elements to fuel what they were doing, and how they were fighting each other, all went into building up an amazing series that I think every adult should read if you're into high fantasy. I mean, if you don't read a lot of high fantasy, it's gonna sound like a wild, fuel-driven genocide, but it really is an amazing, amazing series that I feel like everybody needs to read. And it will drive you nuts, but you will love it so much. So, if you've already read this series, of course, let me know what you thought in the comments. And come back for more rants and raves from me in the future.